All right, we're going to talk about buying a car. Now, I will tell you, as having been a Command Financial Specialist, that buying a car is probably one of the things that service members do wrong, like the most. So, I've seen over 30% interest on a car. I think like 34. I've seen a lot of new vehicles that were super expensive that people could barely afford. Right, so like they say, like 5% of your net worth should be the value of your car. I don't necessarily know that that's the case, but you definitely shouldn't be spending, 10 or 20% of your paycheck on a car payment, right? If you make $2,000 a month and you're spending $700 on a car, that's bad. Like that's dangerous. So we're gonna talk about this real quick. The biggest thing is that a car is a depreciating asset, so it's gonna go down in value for the most part. There are some exceptions, right? But the exception, not the norm. So if you buy a $100,000 vehicle, it's only gonna be worth 40 grand in like 5 years on average. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't invest $100,000 in something that was going to lose money, especially because that $40,000 with inflation will actually be worth less in 5 years than $40,000 is today. So it's probably like 100 grand turns into like 35,000 in current dollars, and then I mean, oh man, that gets scary. And you're paying interest. So, I mean, you're literally just burning money sometimes. So, there are some good deals out there. Sometimes it makes sense, but generally speaking, buying a new car is unnecessary and expensive. So, buy something that's like 5 to 10 years old. I'm on my second diesel Volkswagen Jetta right now, the TDIs. And on the first one, I made 4,000 when I sold it, and I put 40,000 miles on it. And on the second one, I paid 11,900 for it with 23,000 miles. I'm currently at 65,000 miles, and the dealership offered me 16 last week. So both cars that actually went up in value a little bit, but that's more like I think inflation and stuff that's going on right now. But the point being, they had both been cars that I bought about 5 to 6 years old that had already lost their value for the most part, so they'd kind of already leveled out. So then they kind of went up because cars right now in 2021 are hard to buy, but you want to try to find something in that 5 to 10 year old sweet spot that's been well maintained, lower mileage, has all the maintenance record, and is just a good quality car overall, right? So that's some basics. Pickups tend to hold their value better than most vehicles, and then SUVs and cars are behind. Toyota and Lexus are the best brand overall historically for holding value. And then, as you can see here, followed by Subi, Jeep, Honda, and I put Tesla on there. There's actually some stats out there that show that Tesla might be the best, but the track record just isn't. It's just not there. They've only been around for 5-10 years, and so the data is just not really there long term to show where they line up. So while they've done very well right now, I think part of that's just because it's hard to get your hands on a Tesla. So it really is going to depend. We'll see how that washes out, but Tesla seems to do okay. Toyota and Lexus have great history. And if you look at this, you buy like a Toyota truck, probably looking all right for holding value. That's not to say it's not going to lose value, but it'll lose value slower than, going out and buying a Mustang brand new. So, and then you can help your car retain value by completing the routine maintenance, keeping it clean. My favorite strategy is put it right here is to buy a 5 to 10 year old car with low mileage service records, and then shop for the best financing. Don't just take dealership financing. It's not going to be the best. You don't need an extended warranty. Vast majority of the time, you're not going to end up needing that payout, and it's going to cost you. So I'm not going to tell you not to get an extended warranty, but you most likely do not need one. As far as financing, a lot of times you can get better financing through like USAA or Navy Federal. I've had several car loans with both. I'm kind of a car enthusiast, so I've had several car loans with both that were under 4% interest, under 3% interest for a lot of them. And so going through them might be better than the dealership because they're looking out for your best interest rather than, I mean, they want to make money on the loan, but car dealerships often make a lot more money on the financing than they do on the actual sale. So buying a used car that's in good shape that is going to be something that holds its value pretty well. And then ultimately, like, people hate when I say this, but if you're a young service member, you may not need a car, right? Like my first 2 or 3 years in the Marine Corps, I was in Okie and then I was in San Diego, and in both cases, like, I lived right next to my office. Everything I needed was within walking distance, and if I needed to go somewhere, all my friends had vehicles. Now you've got Uber. You could get away with saving the money on a car, and I think realistically, if you didn't have a car the first 2 or 3 years and you just invested every penny, that you would have spent on a car, you'd be way better off financially for the long term. But that's just food for thought. I mean, like I said, I'm a car guy. I like cars. I've had motorcycles. I'm all about it. I've got the itch again. So just making sure that you buy smart so that it doesn't bite you in the butt later. But that's a little bit about cars. Now we're going to get into some living expenses, like housing expenses, living situations, stuff like that.